Well, good morning, good evening, good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to the Zwift Community Live broadcast of the Zwift Racing League race number 4, presented by WTRL. We're in the 2021-22 season. This is EMEA. We'll be covering 2 men's, 2 women's races. Nathan Guerra here. Dave Towle next to me. Dave, how's it going? We had some team time trials going yesterday, and interesting racing. Looks like Stars No Pins is looking to try and take down some amazing times. They came and showed up last week in the Thursday TTT. Obviously got some good practice in.
Yeah, tons of credit to Next, and they're certainly going to continue to be a dominant force in the ZRL, but that was huge for Sarah Snowpins, no doubt about it, Nathan. And really, it proves you reap what you sow. In team time trialing, coming and doing WTRLs on Thursdays has been the cornerstone for these teams that want to be really successful. You can have the great moments with the individual victories, and even your team might have a great day in the points race format, but when it comes down to, it's sort of like GC racing in Tour de France or Giro d'Italia, where it's like you just you have to have all of those elements put together, and without team time trialing, and that's the hardest one to get completely correct. You're never going to be a true championship squad. So good for Saris. They're going to be a team to watch for the future as well. So really exciting. Great course, 24.2K out here. You're going to see some differences from yesterday's Premier League. And again, top 3 teams in the men's were within 16 seconds of each other. Second place was only 3 seconds separation as BZR. Sports Solid, the Belgians, they were right there as well. They ended up beating, Next ended up 3rd, Nathan. They weren't even 2nd on the day. So it's so competitive out here. The teams, I'm excited to see these women on this course. It's really little over 35 minutes of racing before this one is paid, but you will have left it all out on course.
I want to speak just a little bit to what that tells us from Premier Division as well as APAC this morning. I think this is a turning point in the season. Sprint race, sprint race, sprint race. Then we have the TTT, which is like, what do you got for just pure power, which then leads into pure power races, not sprint races, more of these like longer effort races, temples and towers, climbers gambit. You have these situations coming up where it's going to be a little bit more about really strong athletes when it doesn't come to as much to these pure sprinters courses. And I think that these athletes like Sarah Snowpins, we talked about this a lot, them having a little bit more of some favor in the back end of this season, and then showing up mid-season in the TTT and showing their pure power abilities when it comes to longer efforts. I think this is a turn point because we also saw that in APAC in the men's A race where the current leaders ZWC were unseated by NZ Brofrodo, actually. And that is kind of a pure power, kind of your more GC contender type team as well. So I'm wondering if we're going to see this pattern with the TTT kind of being this middle of the season marker where we're moving away perhaps from just the big sprint points, go all in for 15, 20 seconds, set up for that, where some tactics might start to play out where these other teams can start stealing some points away and try and change up the leaderboards a little bit. Unless you're Wahoo Lacole, it seems like on the women's side of things in Premier Division. They just seem to be able to do it all.
Yeah, I mean, I completely agree with what you're saying. It's almost like there's three different chapters to this season. The first was for the sprinters. There's this really interesting middle period with the team time trial. And then you're going to see that it's those watch per kilogram type riders, the climbers, the Kristen Kolchinskis and company that are now really going to get a crack at it, which is fitting because we're leading into the World Championships. And a lot of these riders are going to be racing in that elite worlds on Zwift, the UCI, the official worlds. And this is a big deal. So these two races are the perfect preparation before they head to New York. I can't wait to see what happens over the next couple of weeks. This season was really well thought out. This is absolutely a masterwork when you look at laying out the different courses, suiting different riders, and certainly it's going to be exciting now to see what Sarah Snowpins can do or what Wahoo Lacole is going to do on the women's side of things, because we watched that high note domination, Nathan, for a long time. I mean, how many weeks was the refrain who on the sofa, can Heino be beat this week?
Yeah,
And it was
yeah.
it seemed to go on and on and on forever. And it became that way. Next level, the men's team. Now, what I love about them is you could split this team in two, and they might be the first and second best teams in the ZRL. I mean, they're that good. It was a completely different roster that you saw racing yesterday. There was no Tom Thrall. There was no Brian Duffy Jr. There was no James Barnes racing. They all took the week off. It was a new group of names. I mean, again, these names, Nikki Hoog, very familiar. Zach Nair, extremely familiar. So they have an embarrassment of riches on that team. And now we're going to see their specialists for courses like the climbers love coming up. So, but for today, for our community, special day. Team time trial day, the first of a couple that they're going to have, because the season is a little bit different, isn't it, for the community than for the premiers?
A little bit different, yeah. It does have a couple of little bit
Extended.
differences. It is extended, that's for sure. We are waiting for our splits to come in. We'll jump in with the women here in just a moment. The first ones that we'll be in with are going to be our women's. Real quickly here, just jumping across here. Central that we will be in with today. It started at 12:15, so they're a little ways in. The first marker is going to be at that 6 kilometer mark. One last talking point on that. Heino on the back end, watch out. I wouldn't be surprised if they're going to, obviously Wahoo Lacole show that they can do it all. But I do think that Heino are going to have a little bit of something to say about that in the back end, because they do have those more functional threshold power type riders. But Wahoo Lacole showed they do as well. So it's going to be an interesting back end of the Premier Division.
Watch out for the Sarah Snowpins women. Watch out for the Sarah Snowpins women as well. That team has really bolstered their squad with Liz Van Houweling, Catherine Curie, Megan
really
Eastler.
True.
I mean, the teams
Eastler's
are really,
move
there's a lot
on
of
the park perimeter was so impressive. It's just the timing of it was not necessarily where it needed to be, but she showed that she's got some serious prowess when it comes to making some attacks out on course. That's for sure. Now down into this racing though, this is the EMEA Central Division. We are out on, do you say France, for one lap, 25 kilometers. We're jumping in with the Coalition Beta team, Canyon Beta team here, as they are out on course. And as we get a look here, 8.9 kilometers into the race, Lecomte Draper, Ukenna Johansson, and Sammy Stewart. Let's take a look real quickly, though, at what we've got for current standings. This is your leading team. They will be the first ones out on course. It works a little bit differently in the ZRL than we do on the Thursday TTT. The top-ranked team goes out first. That way, less chance of the catches being made out on course. And as you can see, it's going to be SC Zin going out second. Zed Sun Sunrays with that 54 points. Canyon Esports Beta, they're kind of walking away with this one a little bit, though. They've got 3 points over the top of SC Zin at this point.
Yeah, just a heads up, Nathan, I'm having a little trouble joining on getting the rosters here for this one. So I'll just take a look at this here with 58 points. Canyon Esports is still, they're not running away with it. Swedes are right there, Nathan. You can see that this is really tight here with three teams, I'd say within, well, actually, you can even go maybe a little deeper than that to Gen Z even. There's a lot that could happen in a day like today's where you see some big movements happening out here. As far as on that overall season table, as we enter the fourth race of this season here, season 2 of 2021-2022, the fifth actual season.
Yeah, and as we will be waiting for some of the splits to come on through here, it does look like they've gained a little bit of time over that SC Sin at this point, but this is going to be the opportunity for these teams that are a little bit lower on that board to make up some time. I think Sox for Watts, WTF there at 53 points. I think they're really going to be on the ball today and looking to try and take this one down. Definitely another team I think that is really well organized. They're showing up on the TTTs on Thursdays as well with some good practice. So sitting in fourth place, though, Zed Sunrays here, 54 points in third. That's really the teams I think that are in the conversation for the win out here today. Then the little bit more minor placings with Gen Z Racing Ladies, BBB, and then Team NL Ladies going to be battling it out in that 5th through 7th. But don't count any of them out. NZ Bro this morning in the APAC. I was broadcasting with Kate. Anna and her family have a little bit of sickness in house, so they were all resting. So get well to Anna. But this morning, we definitely did see 5th, 6th, and 7th place make some jumps, actually. So don't count any of them out on a TTT day if they've got some good practice. And BBB and Rave On, they are teams that we have some real familiarity with, Dave, when it comes to team time trialing, don't we?
Yeah, and Nathan, it's funny. I don't want to drone on and on about WTRL and Thursdays, but to be honest, this is where the teams really go from being good at this to being great at this, or from even intro level. You come a long way the first couple of times. You're right. We have sometimes 6,000 folks joining us. Over 1,000 teams will come ride. There's times 19 different zones, Nathan. So there's really an opportunity for any team to come out and ride and get better at this. And Canyon is a team that's done their work, that's for sure. But a couple of those names that you just mentioned also, Rave On. I mean, they make it into an experience every Thursday, and I would watch for them to move up on the table out here today. The Aqueduct, we're on it right now. This is the big feature. They've just done the climbing. It's a 420-meter sector that you climb to get to this point here as 5 riders together. Again, just some details very quickly. Start with 6 as a maximum. The teams are able to pick and choose what riders they use for each race. There's horses for courses, so you'll see some big changes made on a day like today versus this. Well, maybe not so much for the sprint races that we saw the first 3 weeks of racing. But you also then, in the team time trial, you bring your 6 best riders, the time taken off of the 4th rider across the line.
And you do see some power-ups out there today, as you do see the arrow power-up being used by Johansson on the back here with the Swedish flag rolling right on through up in that 60 kilometers per hour, getting that speed going from the back of the pack. That's the way to do it. Great way to roll some speed through, and then the other riders coming through as well, keeping that speed high. Sammy Stewart doing exactly what she needs to do up in that 57. Their DS is doing an amazing job, if there is one, or this is just a really well-oiled machine at this point. But they are rolling perfectly through, carrying speed rather than slowing down on the front, it looks like here. As now Stewart here looks to try and get back here, looks like, with that arrow power, perfect use again, keeping 54 kilometers per hour. What an amazing job here by this team.
Yeah, ooh la la. I am really impressed. I had some interaction with Sammy Stewart on the Insta, Nathan, after I called her a monster last week. She's backing it up, isn't she? Wow. This is a super job by Canyon out here. They are flat out flying. You can see that the speed that they're carrying right now is 45 kilometers per hour. They're about to lift off from planet Earth. But the thing is, Nathan, they're really looking great as a team here. This sector, we can talk about this, the gameplay, Nathan. This is your area of expertise. When you go through these the windy sectors, when it becomes like an intestine out there, twisting and turning, you certainly see it's almost impossible to hold on to that the single file. And what you get are the teams doing exactly what they're doing here. Just keep the momentum going. When you hit the front, just try to push through, hit that sledgehammer once and get out of the way and let another rider drill it.
That's exactly what's happening here. Lots of power-ups being used. The ones that they don't necessarily want, they're all looking for that arrow most likely, as that will be the most advantageous for sure. As we see the truck being, it looks like it's going to be Truck, Arrow, and Feather coming through out here today. Ukena there on the front, coming out of Germany. Solid 4.6 watts per kilogram. They have not distanced themselves, though, too much from Team Swedish Zwifters Sin. So nice job by them, keeping them within a 6-second gap now. Very good job. And they're keeping them within striking distance if they're able to really ramp some things up here toward the front. It does look like a little disorganization as to whose turn it is. Angstrom now taking over at 5.6 watts per kilogram there for just a moment, up in that 168. A little bit of punch. Always nice to have through the combos, as it does slow the avatars down a tad. A few power-ups being used there as they're looking for a new up of them. And that's
look great.
Interesting that they're doing it this way. I wouldn't disagree with this necessarily, as they take this arrow to the front and just looking for some more arrows through this next section and just use that extra speed where they can. You can see they did ramp up to 45 kilometers per hour momentarily there without a whole lot of extra effort. They stayed at the same effort they were actually doing. So nice job by them with that that tactic that they seem to be using with those power-ups.
The Pave Arch is now in the rearview mirror for the Swedes. This is a team that also has never shied away from showing up and just getting it right, as they've sharpened their sword to quite a wicked blade out here, as the Swedes now, again, 10K to go. It's a little more than that, 10 and some change. It's 24.15 kilometers of racing out on the Douce, France course here. Perfect team time trial course, and it really does accentuate what the team time trial is all about. So you can see that the speed for 43 kilometers per hour on this sector. They're going to want to try to pick it up just a little bit here and try to make the most, Nathan, the fact that they've got 6 riders together here. So hitting the front hard and keeping the speed high is exactly what they're doing here. Great job by the Swedes. This is a good look again at this.
Go ahead, Dave.
No, you're fine.
You can see that the time gaps here are eking out just a little bit from that Canyon Beta team. They are out to 9 seconds. So they're gaining a second or so every kilometer or 2 kilometers. So just a little bit more there from Canyon Beta here at this point. But Zed Sun are closing the gap down. It's within 39 seconds. They have closed down a full-on 21 seconds on this SC Zin team now at this point. So solid on them, as Zed Sun Rays here are looking to take back that 1 point in the current standings overall, it looks like. We'll see how Sox for Watts, WTF, are doing. Not the best. 22 seconds lost so far from them out here. So we'll see if they can bring back anything. It is only 1 lap today, 25 kilometers in total. Only 11 to cover yet for Zed Sun. Can they hold on to this gap that they've closed down? That means they may be on the win right now, because I have a feeling they're ahead by 10 if my math is right. We are waiting for a little bit of data to come through, everybody, just as a heads up. As we do wait for that, we'll keep on a lookout for the rider nearby list for what is happening.
Charlotte Backus out here. Charlotte changing teams back to a squad that she was really helped build. And nice to see Charlotte racing out of Park City, Utah, as she has been working with Mari Holden. Remember Mari from Mari's been on Zwift. She leads a great ride every week, actually, with hundreds of folks for the Canyon Ranch down in Arizona there. But that being said, the inspirational Charlotte Backus out with the Sox for Watts team. This is Zed Sun that we're with now. This is a wattage blowtorch that we're looking at. Eric over at Zwift Insider did a really good job, and this really shows you here now, Nathan, perfect example of the amount of watts per kilo the riders are making as they're on the front, and then you can see the riders that are able to sit in and recover just a little bit, tiny bit of rest and recover before you hit the front again. And they are swarming the course out here right now. Looks like we're getting some data coming in. That's nice to see. And I think a 16:56, very quick for the team we're looking at right now. So they've got the fastest checked so far at 12K. Looks like second quickest is going to be that 17:12 for Canyon Esports, 17:16 for the Swedish team, SZ Sin, and then Sox for Watts, 17:23. Really competitive out there today, Nathan.
I want to point out that BBB Racing, who shows up every week, they're showing why practicing this discipline is so incredibly important. We had an amazing conversation this morning, actually, with Kate about practicing TTT virtually is a whole new thing for the entire world of cycling because of what WTRL has done. And that reality, she was actually saying that the in real life UCI races that she's a part of and announcing and helping to support the women's racing, that this is a huge tool for them because TTT practice is a very difficult thing to come by for UCI teams that are not necessarily near each other a whole lot.
I could not agree more. Almost like the foam pit is to riders who are working, skateboarders or BMX jumpers, those type of athletes. It allows you to test and not get injured. Well, this is similar in that you can get together, you can ride. I mean, in real life, team time trialing is only about is 95% the same as what you're doing here on Zwift in esports. There's a few subtle differences between, maybe the wind with Nathan would be the one thing, and learning how to echelon a little bit and how much to overlap wheels or not. But basically all of the things that apply to being a great team time trial team, you can learn here. So I agree with you and Kate 110% on that. And I am sure that, even imagine for your team pursuit team, getting the guys out and riding together on Zwift. It can't hurt. I guarantee you it doesn't hurt.
Exactly. And now looking at these teams that show up on a regular basis,
here's one of them.
Sports have been showing up as well, though. So as you know, Zed Sun Race as well as BBB Racing. Sox for Watts,
Swedes.
So,
yep.
All of these teams have been showing up. It's just for some reason today, Zed Sun are just on fire, and this is a huge time gap they have gained already. BBB Racing, they've fallen back a little bit, maybe went out a little hot because they had that 844, which put them pretty high up in the standings in that third place, but they've dropped back to fifth at this point with that 1724. It is a negative split situation probably that some of these teams need to be shooting at. And I wonder if FC Zin are after that. We are actually getting comments in chat saying
they're only 12
seconds,
and they're only 12 seconds out of second. If you so,
good point.
That fifth.
Great point.
Yeah. Yep. So it's really, I have a feeling with 6 riders here. Let's see if they can put on. Didn't Sox for Watts, Nathan? And again, I want to apologize. Right now, I don't have any other data than what we've got on the screen, so I'm not able to completely dig in as much as I want on the teams. But Nathan, this team here certainly made their name in team time trialing on Thursdays on WTRL. Unless I missed something, I think they came together specifically as a team time trial squad. Yeah, they race all kinds of esports outside of that now, but this is where, unless I'm wrong, Nathan, can you correct me on that?
No, this team is on Sox for Watts.
Born and bred here, right? In team time trial.
Well, pretty much. Like, this is kind of where they had come from, because what happened was it was a conglomerate of all, like, kind of the top women's esports. It was Hino, it was Kiss Racing
Lizzie
team.
Brooke
There was this whole conglomerate of racers that came together. Vision was in there as well, and then it was kind of like Sox for Watts came and said, we want to support this, and boom, Sox for Watts was born, and they went and earned this kit in game. It's good. It's pretty amazing.
We have Sox for Watts socks. They're high quality, much loved, bespoke socks that it's been a really cool relationship as we take a look at the team that certainly now is going to open up the throttle. Nathan, yesterday I had it clocked at 24.15K. So let's see if that holds true out here. There are differences sometimes between community and premier, and so I'm never 100% sure, but I have a feeling that right now they should be, I'm going to say, a little over 6K from the finish.
Yeah, at 17.9 here. Martin making her way through. It's 5.2. Jane Despa's pulling through at 6 watts per kilogram right now. That
Very
is
strong.
massive effort right here. We are getting some conversation about what the fastest bike is out there today. And I would say she is
That might
on
be it.
the correct bike. Yeah, that I would
Yeah.
say the wheels perhaps put in the DTs on instead of those zips, as you do see Taylor coming through with those DT Swisses on the Cervelo, though, which is interesting. But the setup that most would say at this point, Bacchus on also the zips. Is this going to be Robinson is on the setup, at least that I would run with that Venge plus the DT Swisses is going to be the slipperiest through
They
that air.
they've been to the high end bike shops though. We're splitting hairs as far as its marginal differences. They've all got from the top shelf of equipment choices out here. No one is showing up on a broken down Huffy. My apologies to Huffy.
I think
They
Huffy
don't.
knows
They're
where
not
they're
watching.
at. No, then I think they're fine.
They're
with
okay.
it.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
you sell enough Walmart and you make some good cash probably, so they're probably doing just fine.
Hey, how about that Walmart World Cyclocross Championships there in Arkansas with a lot of exciting racing. I certainly was happy to see Mariana Vos win and Tom Pidcock and company. So back to the racing here, though, Nathan. So this is where you don't really, the one challenge as far as that, the climbing sector going up to the aqueduct, that's well behind them now. There's not a whole lot of terrain variation out here. There's a little bit. It's not completely flat, but it's certainly nothing that throws a spanner in the works for these riders. They will handle that quite nicely, and now they're just drilling it here. A lot of teams, Nathan, I think might finish with the full 6 out here today, actually.
With how flat it is, I think you can hang on a little bit easier, even if you're suffering like no other. That's for sure. We're gonna move on over to
not easily, right? It's not a walk in the park.
Not even close to a walk in the park, that's for sure. So we'll see how they can pull this off. But we do seem to be fairly intact teams at this point, as we've got Cameron on the front, 259, 4.7 watts per kilogram. This is BBB Racing at 1724 at the last checkpoint. They're coming through that 18K right now. We should get an update pretty soon to see how they're doing against Ravon and the rest of the top 4 that are... That second, third, and fourth have suddenly become really close. This is a battle all out. It's only 10 seconds difference. I mean, this is anybody's game still, besides the Sunrays, who seem to be kind of walking away with this one.
Their day. Yeah, no doubt. The day in the Rays life is certainly a good one here. I like the fact that all of these teams are showing their setback. That 1 minute there, Canyon Esports, they're having a great ride. But again, you can see so close between Socks for Watts WTF and the Swedish Swifter Sin squad there. Only 1 second separating those two teams. It's going to be a fun finale out here for our 24-kilometer team time trial race 4 of the ZRL. What a season this one has been. It's been the best season, Nathan. Absolutely loving every single week. And it's only going to get better with the next few weeks of racing that we have here for all of our community teams. This is BBB, a team that's come on strong here in 2021-2022 season 2. They've become a force to be reckoned with. And Nathan, 17:24 at the previous check. They were only 1 second behind Socks for Watts. Do they come in the third slot, third quickest time? Have they pushed hard enough to do that? It's going to be interesting.
As they do make their way through here, we're looking at Allie Cameron, Amy Fitzpatrick, Teresa Davitt. It's going to be Michelle Hurley as well as Sarah Lucas on this BBB team as they make their way over these cobbles. About 5K to go or so. Moving our way back to Gen Z. Gen Z with only 3 out there today. Going to make things really hard. Now, you think about that. If you're on 1 minute pulls, you're getting 2 minutes rest. If you're on 30-second pulls, you're getting... No, is it 2? Yeah, if you're on 30-second pulls, 45-second pulls, depending... You're getting only 2 spots of rest there, where some of these squads, they've got full 6 here. That's half the rest time. Very difficult day for Gen Z.
And so that's a good example, Nathan. the math kind of becomes sort of easy with three, where not all three of these riders are going to be exactly equal in ability or talent or depth of endurance, right? So you might see one rider taking minute-long pulls, another rider taking 20-second pulls, and another rider taking 45-second pulls, right? Just depending on who you are on that totem pole of ability on your team. The stronger rider
100%.
definitely spends more time on the front, though, just trying to keep the it's really important that you keep the speed as fast as you can, but steady too. That surging is what breaks the back of the weaker riders on a team time trial team. The surging is just what kills you.
Laura Vainiopa, I think, is going to be one of the top athletes here amongst this crew. 4.18 watt per kilogram.
Sound like you've been practicing. Sound like you've been practicing the pronunciation there. That was is this Leonard
today? We've just been up since yesterday commentating, so we've had a little bit of practice throughout the whole of the day, perhaps. But yes, it's been definitely getting used to it. It's just a name that I think is really highlighted though this season. She's
might as well learn it
to the scene, right?
Yeah.
I mean, this is a
exactly.
that we need to be watching out for the future of Zwift racing.
I almost guarantee you that you'll see her in Premier League next season. It's that kind of talent. You can just see these riders go right through the community. When you're really, really good, you go straight to the top. All right, it's a 25-13. It's not like they're in a completely different postal code than the other teams, but Socks for Watts is tied with BBB. Nathan, you called it. You were saying before this race that this is going to be a really fun one to watch, and man, it is. 25-35. Look at this. Okay, Nathan, we've never seen this before. We've got 4 teams within 1 second. Now, excuse me. I'm misreading that ladies NL time. That's 26-36, not 25. But so 3 teams within 1 second. Very, very exciting.
Super close here between Socks for Watts.
I need to get my eyes checked.
SC Sin as they're coming to the line any moment. It's only 1.6 kilometers for Zed Sun Rays here still, and they have distanced themselves further. They were the 3rd team to start. They are going to be the first team to finish out here today, perhaps, if they do catch SC Sin. Huge result coming in for that Zed Sun Rays. Great to see them having a solid day. Socks for Watts WTF here have made up some time. They're at 17:23, catching SC Sin and passing them on the time so far. 1 second difference and tied for second place. Will BBB Racing, I think they're motivated today, Dave. BBB, I think they want to take that second place, and they have what look to be some negative splits coming on through, and they're really ramping it up.
You start to build momentum in the team time trial once you realize, hey, we can do this, and then you start to refine your technique, and then you start out there, Nathan, you find seconds. You actually are looking to lose seconds, and it's amazing how once the technique comes into play and your brain and your body are working together, you stop fighting your body, and it becomes like a chess match, and that's when you're really like when you're a Jedi Knight. You just start to use the Force.
Looking at the Team NL ladies on their chess match here, and 4.9 on the front. Going to be Iona hammering away like Nguyen. It's going to be Iona Valkenburg and Marink Kirchhoff out here for Team NL right now. Team NL ladies with that 26-36 having a really good day, because if we look at the team standings, Team NL ladies currently sitting in 7th, but they may come through. And this, again, I can't speak to it enough. The team time trial is a day for them to just show up and show what you've got, kind of a day. And as we're looking at this here, Team NL ladies, really solid times so far. We'll go ahead and update this leaderboard here real quick so we can get the right data points on through. And it looks like here Zed Sun Rays are finished. Canadian Esports Beta followed up by Socks for Watts so far as to what we can see.
So this it's what's interesting is, Nathan, 1 or 2 seconds could make the difference of 1 or 2 points. And we give 20 points to the top team out here today, 19 per second. So you can see how it is so close. Every point matters. No doubt. We were looking at the season total on points, as this is the 4th race now. Correct me if I'm wrong. Doesn't Canyon Esports, aren't they sitting on 58 points? If I remember correctly.
Double check it. There you go.
So Canyon Esports, yes, sitting on 58 points. So if you are Z Sun Rays, this is your chance, Nathan. Can you make up 2 or 3 points today? Yes, and yes.
True,
you could.
And I think that this is, as we were talking about earlier, this is the turning point in the season, perhaps, for some of these teams. We'll see what ends up happening at the end of the day. I think Canyon Esports they may have just eked this out for that second place, though. We'll see.
That's going to be huge.
It is going to be a big
Think
deal.
about that, right, Nathan? 10 seconds difference in how they ride today could really be the difference between having a 2-point lead or being tied.
100%. Yeah, I mean, and think about what 10
It's that
seconds
close.
is. I mean, that's so close. And that's technique plus power. I mean, there's a lot of technique that goes into this. If you get the roll-throughs correct, if you get the downhills correct, if you get these sections of course that matter so much about how you ride them, not just how much power you put out. And that's one thing I think that a lot of people who might not be doing the Thursday TTT over and over again, might not be watching other teams and how they practice this, that there is a technique to this where you can, just like there's a technique to TTing in real life, you give up power in certain areas in order to, or you give up weight, a lot of weight actually in certain areas to get better aero. Same thing with Zwift racing when it comes to TTT. Technique can gain you 30 seconds to a minute, I would say, out on course.
You know what I think? I just came up with this analogy, Nathan, as you were talking. So you can, as an amateur, paint a room and paint a house, or you can watch a professional do it with the right technique, right? They do it in about 1/3 of the time, and it looks about 1,000 times better. And that's because they've got practice and they've learned the craft. And I think it's exactly the same thing. Anybody can get out there and team time trial. It's not that hard to keep a team of 4 or 6 together. It's just going fast and smooth. It gets harder and harder and harder. I think that's a pretty apt analogy, actually.
100%. Yeah, that's a great analogy, actually. We do see Nugent here now making her way to the line. She's going to lead things out at 7 watts per kilogram. Rave on behind them, having a really solid ride. Dudas Davidson's here. We're seeing Irish Cross Taroni all making their way. Loving Team Rave. Our Weedy is also out here today, as they're looking to finish really strong. Great to see Towle leading them to the line, one of our most committed viewers. We do have the men's race there over on the right-hand side of the screen here as they make their way out on course. As far as the men's mixed race, we are covering the EMEA Africa, and that is going to be the very well-known Fusion team, I believe, that we're seeing, Fusion ECT. They've been really competitive, Dave, obviously being a part of the playoffs in the past. We'll see what they can pull off here. They seem to be flying 51 kilometers per hour right now from Simon Nielsen. I mean, this is going to be a barn burner right here, actually, out of this Africa.
So that's Europe, Middle East, and Africa Division 1. Is that right?
I believe so.
The 11:45 or 12:45 start time for you?
Yep. That
right.
is correct.
Perfect.
100%.
Perfect. So that, okay. So, hey, one of the racers, is this name familiar for you? It should be Nathan Ariel Verharen, the BMX racer. I wanted to give her a shout out. I saw Jamie Lee Wright. A lot of the Aeonian team riders have been sending support to her as she has been in the hospital. Some training injuries that have resurfaced, and she's been really fighting that. So I just wanted her to know from all of us, as I hear she's a regular viewer as well, that we certainly, Ariel, are supporting and loving on you and hoping that we can not only see you back racing someday, but just to hope you're feeling better. I
Yeah,
know
need to
it's
get over
it's not
injuries and
easy.
hospitals for sure. I mean,
Yeah,
also
she's an
on the front.
Olympian and a world champion. So she's been an unbelievable career, and she certainly has paid a price for that, as all these top athletes do, right, Nathan? Nothing came for free. Wasn't easy getting into the Olympics,
One other
for
shout out
sure.
also, Christy Tracy, obviously, is going to be one that we want to shout out as she recently had running with a vehicle and some surgery and, is on a long road to recovery. So big shout out to Christy Tracy and Jamie Tracy, her husband, obviously full support there. And just a get well to to the two of them and that Christy
She
comes
tries
back
so hard.
stronger. She's going to come back stronger than ever. And
She's
I know that's her plan. So big shout out to them and recovery quickly to her cycling for sure, and just
I
full recovery.
hate to hear that, and she's been through a lot already. She's proven she's a fighter. I'm heading to her hometown tomorrow in Austin. She was part of the Zwift Academy at one time and has been a national champion. This is the finish here. So it really is 24.15K swoop around the right-hand turn here. There's the arch. And this one is done and done. So Coalition, love what these ladies are all about. Coalition's got an incredible program going. I think they have a couple teams in this race here. And yeah, Coalition Synergy looking strong right now, and just a couple hundred meters to go.
Yeah, it's just them and KST still to the line, it looks like, and going to have a solid time as they come on through, currently sitting in 7th place at that 26:13. And great job by Coalition. The last of the rest that maybe have dropped off out today, still out on course. We'll head on over to our men's race. We will bring the results up in just a moment, though, for this women's race as soon as they do populate. On over to the men's race on the right-hand side, though, as you can see, it is going to be the Fusion ECT team really hammering away. 12 kilometers in, they just went on through the aqueduct and still up into 54 kilometers per hour, 52 kilometers per hour on this section of course. I mean, on the front, oxen here continuing at 6 watts per kilogram. I think that's the minimum if you are going to be on the front for this team. 6 watts per kilogram and no less. It looks like he's holding almost all the way through.
Yeah, this looks like world tour level right here. Fusion ECT in full effect. This is Jeppe Tolbo, Niklas Becker, Rasmus Bertsen, Simon Nielsen, Thomas Malloy, and Thorben Oxen, as we are right now with Thorben, as they are holding a very, very fast tempo, getting onto the pave now. This is going to be another one of those sectors that we talked about, the splits that we were looking at yesterday. One of them was coming from this arch here in the pave sector.
Interesting, the team, for the way that they're deciding to use these power-ups. I
think they're using them up too, right? They're going to get a new one.
Before they hit they're going to get a new one. And then I wonder if there's any communication going on about reserving arrows for certain sections or not, but definitely using up what they don't want through these banners in order to grab something new, it looks like. Back in the front here, Becker up into 7 watts per kilogram. This speed through the pave at 49 kilometers per hour. I mean, this is massive right now. Looking at the splits as they do come on through. And Fusion ECT with a 7:39 at the last split. Cryo T-Men actually had a faster time, though. The first one through, though, is going to be Fusion at 15:08, but Cryo T-Men had a 7:36. And again, I love it. The battle is on because Cryo T-Men were at 56 points. If we make a comparison here right now, and they're looking to try and unseat Fusion from their undefeated so far.
Yeah, it's interesting now for Cryo. They're hoping another team slots in between them and Fusion out here. I don't know if that's even possible, as it's a razor's edge. This is going to be a battle royale. Eddie Uhl, cool
the names.
here.
We know these names, don't we, Dave?
Yeah, we sure do. As a matter of fact, let's dig in on this one now, as we're in with one of the teams that we've enjoyed over the years, one of the top team time trial squads, without any doubt. This team is just brimming over the top with ability. And so this is going to be Eddie, we just mentioned, Felix Kohler, Jack Poley, Martin Mertens, Oh, man, this is the A team, Nick Hidd and R.J. Cowan. So Toyota RDT in the Battle Royale today.
Solid efforts. 10 seconds have been brought back so far. They're within 50 seconds of the first starters. There's a 1 minute gap between them, so they can see that time coming down in front of them as well for who they are chasing. Most likely be watching the broadcast as well to get an idea. At 7 watts per kilogram on the front, I think they can smell a win out here today as Kohler looks to be really pushing 500 watts right now at 50 kilometers per hour.
Because of these two teams being the fastest or the best that we've had in the first 3 races, I think that obviously there's a little bit of a data hold going on. Interesting. It's turned into a 2-team battle royale, hasn't it? We'll see how these other teams have a feeling. And it looks like they're putting a 7:39 up for the ZTP LCC e-racing team as well.
This is competitive, Dave.
Wow. My goodness.
Well, and you can see right here, 14 seconds back from this team right now, right? But that means that with the time gap up to Fusion, they've kept it pretty close to the Fusion time here with the Zwift Team Poland. So Zwift Team Poland with a very solid time as well as they come through here. You do see the speed difference, though, here compared to Cryo. Cryo speed difference, I mean, they are just flying Cryo RDT. I know this is a little bit of an uphill here, but will we see them bump over that 50 kilometers per hour? Because we do not see Cryo underneath 50 very often at this point. Nice use of the feathers as they hit that 4%. That's great communication.
That's really well done.
Really great communication. Yes. We have feathers. Let's use it over that little bump.
And at that speed, that's to maximum effect right there. So it makes sense. These at first I was wondering, wow, that time is incredibly quick. Well, they are on a great day right now. That's the ZTP team. This is a team that's been coming on strong, Nathan. I have a feeling that we'll be talking about them quite a bit more in the near future, as I'm trying to remember exactly how many points they had on the season
55.
at this point.
They're right. Third.
There we go. Yeah. So, wow. So this is a Polish squad, entirely Polish out here, with Bart Wysoli, Janek Zapinski, Maciek Paweł Kalita, Piotr Trusek, and Viktor Dzienworich out here. Apologize for a few of those names. Guys, we'll work on them, though. We're going to be learning more about this Polish-based team. Clearly top-notch squad.
Moving our way back here.
The Polish names are as hard as the Norwegian ones, Nathan.
They are. The French and the Polish, I'd say like on level of difficulty for myself, I'll put the French for some reason.
Yeah, the French ones are tough for you. Yeah.
Not for you, though, I've noticed, but I think you
I'm all right. I'm okay with the French ones.
Yeah. I think
but you do way better with the Finnish. Now you're a Finnish specialist, a Scandinavian specialist. So we'll have to know our strengths. And actually, we joke, but we're trying, and we will get better, no doubt about it. Here's a name, Power, pretty straight ahead as we're in with the Canyon team. Less than 10K to go out here in this 24.2-kilometer team time trial, race 4 of ZRL's 2021-22 Season 2 race out here. This first of 2 team time trials for our community races. Only 1 for Premier. So this is a big day.
This is going to be one of the all-stars here on the team, Gel Power out of Belgium. He is having a really solid ride. As you can see, almost a little bit too much power from him as he pulls through 7 watts per kilogram. Huge amount. This is one of the most experienced riders on the team by far, as he looks to lead things out here at 178 beats per minute and almost 7 watts per kilogram. But a single rider cannot be the only one taking the poles. It's eventually going to be not enough. As Kaminsky comes through, though, solid 7 watts per kilogram from him.
Nice this looks pretty good. He looks like he took his pole and was done. It looks like a normal rotation. Kaminsky rolling through.
I love this question coming on through, Dave, and let's go ahead and answer this because I think this is going to be really telling. How many of these teams typically use a DS in community? I think at the top level, almost all of them.
Dunk. I would say, well, yes, agreeing. So I'm going to even say 95%.
Yeah, yeah,
Probably
I would
not
say.
all. There's going to be an exception here or there, but yeah, Nathan, completely. It's almost a required role. It would be like starting without air in your tires.
Yeah, I mean, getting the organization correctly is just going to be really. I mean, even within our WTRL TTTs that are a little bit more chill, we try and have a DS every single week. So,
I mean,
um,
yeah, even C and D level teams typically have directors now, um, more or less, right? I mean,
oh, I agree, agree.
I
Yep, for
yeah.
sure. It's just a part of being a part of a team time trial. Now, trying to do it without a DS is really
So,
really
but
difficult.
I like the question, Dunk. Dunk McCrae, we appreciate you watching as well. It's kind of a fun role for folks. You know who seems to be into it is the Sherpa Dave. I've
He's
noticed he
kind of
does some
like the DS.
DSing.
Yeah, and he's kind of like
Kind of
the
like a
DS
superstar
coach.
DS.
You know, he's kind of
Yeah,
like
yeah, yeah.
coaches the DSs about
Yeah,
what you need to do for the week, right? He's kind of like, here's
yeah,
what the
like
strategy is going to be.
a DS Yoda. He kind of he just kind of gives wisdom and disperses knowledge. Very, very fun guy. So this isn't fun. Team time trialing, it might look smooth, but man, these athletes are hurting. You know, Nathan, I was thinking about this while we have a second here. So you could say, what sport would be similar to team time trialing? And if someone said, well, rowing, where you put 8 riders in a boat and they all work together through the duration of the event. But here's what, okay, so kind of true, right? But really, the big difference to me is in rowing, everybody is trying to do the exact same effort at the exact same time. Okay, that's how the boat moves smooth and fast. It's not everybody, but here it's interesting. You want one guy on the front doing the work and everybody else resting and recovering until they take their turn. So it is decidedly different in that way. It's it's really brutal, to tell you the truth. What the team, I think the team time trial might be psychologically one of the hardest races to prepare yourself for, because if you show up at a start with bad legs, or I mean, God forbid, a head cold or a sinus problem, and you know that you're not your best, you really feel vulnerable. Where you know that you're just going to be a liability, not an asset, and nobody wants to feel that way. It's really, really. I was talking about that yesterday in that last K. When you make it to that point, it's almost a feeling of elation, because you know now that you can't screw it up for the team, right? You can actually get a couple extra watts of joy because you've done your job, and there's a real sense of fulfillment out there. Completing a team time trial as a unit, everybody doing their best, is an amazing feeling. And it's what really, in sport, it's one of those things that you only know, if you've done it, to understand that connection. Like, we were all at our limit and just executing perfectly.
This team, the power here and the separation throughout them has been a little bit disorganized, but as you can see, the times coming through are pretty solid from them as they're able to hold down that 5th place so far. Toyota Cryo RDT and Fusion still in a head-to-head battle. Toyota Cryo RDT, they have held on to 3 seconds. They brought back to 1, it looks like, over that last 6 kilometers, waiting for that 18-kilometer checkpoint as we make our way through here. I thought that we lost the riders for a second, but Kaminsky is just pressing so hard on the front here. He's getting that little bit of a gap now as Power looks to grab back on the back here. 51 kilometers per hour as they perhaps are thinking, what can we do to bring back some time? Because it's next gen Fudre, who they are battling with right now.
French have been coming on really strong, Nathan. It's been very cool to watch this Foudre team. As an example here, Le Forestier. See what I'm talking about there? As, as we take a look
no
at
idea.
it,
No clue.
they look very, very well organized, that's for sure. Another difference there, the Tron bike, you don't see those in Premier, but you do out here. And This team's got a nice color palette, the orange and the blue. This would be Anna Russell approved, I would think. Not surprising that the French would get their fashion right. You'd expect them to. Take a look at some times. It's close. 3 seconds from cryo to fusion. Woo! What a fun race. 15:15 for the Poles there for ZTP. So 15:15 their time. They're only 7 seconds behind Fusion ECT, who's sitting in second, only 3 seconds behind the Cryo RDT men's team. This is going to be a battle royale. It's a 15:28 for Next Gen Foudre, who we've got on the screen right now. The team in blue, Canyon Esports, only 1 second. Nathan, this might be the tightest that we've seen it at this point at 12K check. So the halfway point, 15:32 for DBR. Did anything change? Okay, what we're seeing now are split times coming in for some of the teams, 22-21. Nathan, it's only 8 seconds between Fusion and Cryo with, let's call it 6K to go at that check. It's very, very close, my friend.
I think Cryo pulled it off. They'd have to lose 11 seconds from here on out. As you can see, we're not going to go over there. As the women, we have them on another
Yes, we are.
here at this point. Not just, well, yeah, we are. We are. They're hanging out.
Later.
You're right. We are. They are actually in, we do have them in the pens over there.
They're penned up.
Starting out at 4:33 from now. So we will be in with that women's race. North, we did see a request last week, and we will be covering that women's North division. Fusion ECT, very solid ride, but they most likely will have to settle for second. They dropped Jump Off. He did his work, though.
Wait a second. What was the winning time yesterday? I mean, this is unbelievably fast. I'm talking about Premier League winning time, Nathan. These guys are hauling.
Was like 32, I think. Wasn't it like a 30 or no?
Well, these guys are going to be well under.
Maybe,
so I think it was a 29-20. 29-20. Yeah, that's my guess. I'm going to go look, but use that. I think I'm right. So how quick were these guys? I mean,
are they going? You're right. I think you are right. They might do it. They're within.
It's going to be close.
Oh,
just
it's
around
right there. I mean, this
probably
is Premier
5
Division.
seconds out.
This is Premier Division level for sure. Almost
this
a win
would
in
have
Premier
been
Division.
good for second place, possibly for Premier. So right now, the winning times for Saris would have been recorded. They would have been about third or fourth in Premier. Actually, they would have been third in Premier. Huh. How about that? How about them apples, world? Polls coming in.
Nice, Doug McCree saying in general, Toyotas last longer, so they should win. Nice.
That's hysterical.
Coming. Well, he's right. He's not wrong.
Toyotas are great cars. He's not lying. He's not lying.
I'm being told, Director Sportif, just so you know, for those that are asking, I do see that in chat. What does it mean? It means the person who's coaching the team through the race, for those who are wondering. We currently, according to WTRL, are letting us know that it's 350 known DSs with 2,100 teams enrolled. So almost every team.
Though. Some of them hide. A lot of them don't reveal their identity.
You're not stealing our DS. That's what it comes down to.
Right.
Our DS is so good, you're not taking them.
We don't even acknowledge he exists or she exists. So Nathan, the times that we're looking at so far, 3 teams would have been in the top 10 in Premier League. It's the same exact course. The only difference would be the power-ups. But how many seconds could that get you? I mean, again, it's some.
That gets you something. That definitely gets you something.
Yeah, it's not nothing. It's not nothing is a good way to put it. But also, I don't know that it's 10 seconds. I probably somewhere between 5 and 8 seconds, maybe.
Yeah, I could see it being somewhere around there, 5 to 10. Yeah. I think you could grab that out of
if they were well used.
If they were well used, they have to be really well used. Harper,
like the team that we saw, who was that team that had the 2 using the arrow power up at just the right moment?
Team Poland, Zwift Team Poland, ZTPL.
Poles.
Yep.
Very well done. So Cryo's finish now. We'll get some times for you. That's their split time. They're not their finish time. The Zwift kids. It's new to me. I'll have to learn more about the Zwift kids. They're having a good ride today. This is Foudre, the French squad. They've got about 1K to go.
Yeah, who are the Swift kids?
I'm glad it's somewhat new to you as well. Teams always come out of the woodwork. I believe Martin was telling me that there's close to 20,000 different people involved in the ZRL racing community.
20,000. Think about that.
20,000. Uh-huh. Amazing.
So Swift Kids 2238. I mean that's who are the Swift Kids? Look, I mean, they're currently sitting in 8th place. This is what we were talking about. This is the turnaround moment for some of these
in a very
teams.
tough league. This is a very tough league right here. This division that we're in, I should say, the mixed men's A's in the Europe, Middle East, and Africa. That tells you. That's how you know you have 20,000 riders when you have a division called EMEA Africa, Div 1 Mixed Men's A. That's a lot of categorization.
Nancy is asking, do the C and D levels have power-ups too? Yes, all of the levels out here today do have power-ups, Nancy. Thanks a lot for the question. We appreciate all the questions that come through.
Patapsik is how I'm going to say you say your name, Nancy.
Nice.
Patapsik.
Nice. Yeah, I think you're right.
Yeah. Let me know, Nancy. Remember my comment the other day, Nathan, about on Thursday, WTRL Thursday, coming up this week as well. It's going to be exciting. About the Mari being the Celtic Mary. Well, she said I was correct.
Nice.
Appreciated my Celtic language name knowledge. Not to brag or boast.
Not at all, Dave. Not at all.
You know, why would I brag or boast, right? Let's take a look at Cryo here.
We got to celebrate our small victories here, Dave. We got
yeah, exactly. Thank you, Nathan. You're 100% right. That's funny. So what do you think? I mean, you kind of called it. It was pretty unlikely that Toyota didn't win out here. I'm with you on that, but you never do know. You never do know. We've got everybody finishing up now.
Waiting on the results to populate through here. We've only got 4 teams really populating at this point, so we'll have to wait for a few more to come on through.
Head on over, by the way, to WTRL.racing. They've got a great website. If you're interested in getting involved, you can learn how you can get your team signed up and into next week's WTRL event, or get ready for the next season coming up. Not that far off. We need DS car avatars in ZRL races.
Heck,
John?
Yeah.
That's a fun idea.
There's this. We could talk about the DS then. Here's the DS.
So have you ever? The DSs usually have a dash of
right.
So they usually have a cooler with the bottles, and they've got some bottles with water and mix, and then they've got their own
That's
stuff.
That's actually
like
how you would get the power-ups. If they don't come through the arches, they get them from the DS car. That's following the crew. Yeah,
right.
It's always 5 seconds behind your 4th rider somehow or something along those lines. That would be
that would be incredible if you had to drop back and then go back to the car. And then if you held on.
Who's awesome. Look who's awesome, Dave. You're awesome.
Nice. Thank you, Nancy. You made my day. Zwift community, Nathan, are the best, aren't they?
I'm going to shout out Zwift kids before they get across the line, though. Look at these guys.
This
is the new kids on the block, the Zwift kids. They're killing it. They might not appreciate what I just called them. Too bad. Not as they're out here
Zwift
killing it.
Kids.
And
so not only did Greg LeMond wear that Z jersey there, Bob Roll rode for that team, even mountain biked with that jersey on back in the early 90s. So who is this going to be? Kirkmeyer coming in, the A1 Dev team?
With Pilkington,
I think so.
Yeah, Schumann's out here. Ganda.
Germans, French riders. Polish riders. Nobody knows
Talent
where the
phrase
Zwift
there
kids
as
are
well.
from.
Talent. Nobody. They're from Watopia, Dave. Where
They're
else?
Watopians.
They're Watopia.
They're
They actually were
Watopians,
very. They were very international. It looked like to me from all over the world with the Zwift kids, which makes a lot of sense if they're just named after Zwift, which is a very international community.
It certainly is.
Nice ride here by Kirchmeier. They're up in their game because they're currently sitting in 9th, so they're gonna have a better day with that 5th place out here.
Certainly one of the largest esports teams, Kirkmeyer, men, women, wouldn't you say? I mean,
Yeah.
they're in the
for sure.
top 5.
Select.
teams.
I would say select, a little more select, but definitely I would
little
say
more
within
select.
within that top 10. I would give them a top 10 in numbers, but definitely one of the more.
I wonder
one of the
how
stronger teams.
Boy, that's a good
I mean,
question.
because when
if
you
you're
talk
gonna
about
put
like KISS, you talk about some of the old school teams. I think that have legacy members.
ODZ could have 2,000 members,
legacy
right? So,
membership versus ZRL
right.
building a strong team are two really different worlds.
But also, if you factored in racing at least once a month kind of thing, then Kirkmeyer goes really to the top, right? Because there's a lot of folks that aren't as active as the Kirkmeyer team. That's for sure. They're all over it. So Kitten Little Bits, they should have the ability for me to run next to the peloton in a horned helmet with the big flag taking a selfie. Absolutely. Someone I'm sure is probably writing that code as we speak in Long Beach in our computer engineer room. I think that'd be fun. Actually, Nathan, wouldn't it, to have people running next to the riders on the Alp?
That should be a part of it. We'd probably Zwift running might grow a little bit more if we did that.
If they, that's awesome. I have the people in Zwift run next to racers.
Like you would get a lot more. Like
costumes.
I just think you would have like Zwift running is rewarded with costumes, and they get to be the different entities that are a part of the cycling world. The annoying people who are not supposed to be in the way of the Tour de France that we yell at. No, I'm sorry.
I know.
I just totally offended a few people, but I get crazy about them waving them. Get out of the way, please! Oh my god!
No, I'm. Oh, you hate to see the riders endangered or.
That's it. Being a racer, I'm like, are you kidding me?
It's a fine line.
It is a fine line. It is. Chat, let me know. Let me know what you think, Chat. Are you on board with us on that? What do you think? And
I don't even know if I'm on
Kitten
board.
Wouldn't be in the way. Kitten would not be in the way.
So
I mean,
Kitten would keep a respectful.
He would be so
meter,
respectful. Actually, he's telling us I would not. He just knocked the riders over. I know he played Road Rash, so maybe we're talking to the wrong guy. We're talking to the wrong guy. We're talking.
KST finishing up here, Nathan. This is such a beautiful world, the way that they created this French. I just think it's so beautiful and always makes me think of summertime in the Tour de France, that's for sure. So looking forward to Tour de France Feminine for women avec Zwift. I'm as excited for that as anything coming up in 2022. Had to double check what year it was. Electric Spirit .co, purveyors of fine spirits. Nothing to do with the Electric Company TV show on public television in the 1970s. No relation.
Wow, Love Towle is almost making the catch here, it looks like, to that team that just finished ahead. Nice job on them. I want to real quickly here, we'll be riding with the ladies. They're only 4.5K in with the first starters. There's some big names here. Electric Trio, Socks for Watts is there. Leah Thorvaldsen, Haynes, Tomlin. This is a pretty serious team. Dockers is there as well. Roca Corba is here. Watch out for them in the women's race as well. Team Italy, wow. Team SZ, we're seeing Drafter out there. WLC have one of their teams here. So this women's North division is pretty serious. So we'll definitely be in with them in just a moment. We're going to finish up, though, with this men's race. The Chunky Chasers. I'm totally unaware of the Chunky Chasers, to be honest, but I'm loving that they're out here hammering away right now. And I'm loving their name. You're not going to forget these guys.
I was just going to say, you've heard that once. You definitely will remember weekly the rider that we're looking at. 4 strong coming in. Good job out here, guys. So, yeah, so much racing out here today. I just love team time trialing. So, it's super enjoyable to watch people getting into it as much as, I mean, I really, truly think that
Did Alex
WTRL,
West race yesterday? Did he race yesterday?
I'm going to say yes, was a substitute rider, a last minute substitute on, is it Saris that
Canyon
he's
on
on?
Canyon. He's on Canyon. He is DSing that beta team we just watched with Joe Power, Will Harper, Kaminsky, Lockwood, Banville, and Hunt, actually. So you talk
my
about
gosh.
DSing being a crucial part. You have one of the top all-time. He was a part of the Zwift Academy, one of the finalists. I mean, this is a very serious athlete, and it's been around a long time. Great DS to be having, and no wonder they had such a good race out here today. Coming in and currently sitting in fourth. We'll see how they end up playing out, though, for the results.
But if you had told the 12-year-old me that I'd be getting a message from Ashton Lambie, the world record holder and world champion, I would.
Right now? Just now?
Yeah, right now. Because have you seen his new helmet that he's got? His casque helmets? I was telling him to bring it on social media, though, and he just responded. He's been a big, big advocate for Zwift out here and is someone that, he's going to come to our Garmin Mashdown event in Houston where his partner, Christina Burt, is becoming
an
astronaut.
Is that like a 1 minute effort, essentially?
Well, you've done it before. It's the Forward KOM. So you've done it thousands of times.
Yeah, we're 120. I mean, he might set a new record if he goes for it. I know he's in the middle of a huge.
I don't know what his commitment was.
He's in the middle of a huge training block, though. I saw some of the mileage he's doing right now, so it might not be, kilo type efforts right now. But man, still,
it's Ashton Lambie.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
He shows up, and can you beat Ashton Lambie? It'd be a great forward KOM
would
challenge.
You guess? You said 120 something is the fastest time ever.
Virtually, I think it is a sub 120. I think the World Championships with Jason Amersboard might be right up there. I have to double check.
That's interesting.
I think at the live event, no shoes on. 135, I think, to right around.
I've actually
something like that.
We've seen even a little quicker than that. I know David Richter up in Seattle, and that's a good point. With not with cycling shoes, not with kit, but just kind of showing up in a bar with your flat, your Adidas or Adidas. How do we say it again? But you know what I'm saying? These guys are just about done here, Nathan. Just about another 150 meters, and this is going to be over. They just make this hard right turn, and then they'll see the arch in front of them. There it is.
Shot by DZR. This is the Danish Zwift racing team. TFC are out here as well. We've got
Robustica.
This is some pretty familiar names. Harris is out here. Dawson, McCormick, Marwood, Andy as well. I mean, this is a really well-known names. Some of the top names from TFC. Great to see them hammering away out here today as well. This
Friday
I'm loving this. I'm loving this zone, actually. Lots of really old school
great zone
here. Yeah.
Very competitive. Absolutely.
It's because that 1 p.m. time frame was always the kind of high. It was kind of the high time, old school Zwifting, when a lot of people would set up the traditional races. So I do think that there's something to that.
This is right now. So you and I are obviously in the United States, but here in Colorado, it's 12:30, but in Europe, it's just after dinner time, even putting the young kids to bed time. So this is mom or dad time to kind of do what you want, get your yayas out, as they say, as the Rolling Stones would say. So you get your chance to do your thing, and I could see why. I mean, you don't really, even though it's midday and lunch break, you don't see one American or Canadian flag, do you? It's almost entirely European and African here.
Pretty much, yeah. A lot of times I think the reason it's peak Zwift time, though, this noon to 2 p.m. is because you do get lunch breaks, though. So then you get
California
some Americans,
people.
right? You get some Americans, but mainly that Cycling Europe, which is the main hub of cycling, essentially, in the world. And so you get all of them jumping on alongside of everybody else in the world, where Australia is just maybe waking up super early. And then, the early risers to ride alongside of the Americas that are on their lunch break, and you get peak Zwift times. So, what
Yeah, I mean,
here?
it's getting to close to 50,000 people on Zwift at any one moment. I wonder what it would take. What's the longest continuous loop that you can find on Watopia, Nathan? Uh, with 50,000 people, you would go tip to tail, I'm sure, with just as a solid stream of Zwifters. But they obviously aren't all in the same world on the same route. A conga line,
if you
as
want just a
GP Lama says.
straight, we have had that until we had culling. Before there was culling of events, some of the rides that like broke Zwift back in the day were like just a big conga line.
Endless Zwifters, right? I mean, just
endless,
Zwifters.
yeah. Non-stop forever.
You were never not in the peloton. That's not quite what people are looking for. They just do such an amazing job. They really do. I
want to shout out Team Chalk here real quick, with Lundgren, Eriksson, Eliasson, and Carlson all making their way to the line. Grubby out here put his work in for TFC. Nice job. And it's going to be the Purple Train. 3 riders left, it looks like, for Purple Train as they dropped off Sergio.
So unfortunately, 4 is the number for community. Time taken off of the 4th rider. 3 for Premier. I always have to double check because the rules are different. I was going to say slightly, but not even slightly. I mean, they're different rules when you look at between Premier and community. You have to be well aware of the rules of play.
Let's go ahead and jump across over to the ladies' race then, as Purple Train are going to finish up. And as they do, we'll get the results for the men's EMEA Africa shortly. As we jump over to the women's race, we will highlight the women's race right before this one, though. So just as a heads up, everybody, we are going to be looking at the results for the Central Division, as I know a lot of you are going to be waiting for those, as we did just get done covering that. So as we look for the splits coming in for these women that are looking to finish up, it was Electric Spirit Company that were the first to go out. And this is Electric Spirit CO being chased by Socks for Watts. Let's go ahead, though, real quickly first. We'll take a look at this. We've got covered a lot, 4 different races. The first race we covered on the day was the EMEA women for Central. And Zed Sun Rays there at the top, Dave.
Yeah, and you can see how efficient they were. As in our top 4, they had the lowest watts per kilogram average, and that really speaks to the practice and the work they've done. So congratulations, Zed Sun Rays. 33:46, a very fast time to take the win. Canyon Esports Beta, they're going to end up in 2nd today. It's Socks for Watts WTF in 3rd, BBB Racing in for 4th. The Swedish Zwifters Sin Edition 5th, Ravon in for 6th, Coalition Synergy 7th today, Team NL Ladies A in 8th, KSTE in 9th, and Zedbro Arwen Edition 10th, and Coalition Rhapsody rounding out our top 11 teams here in our women's A's. This is from EMEA Central Division 1. Very competitive group. Congratulations to the Rays.
On over to the B category. What Chicas took it down with the 34-38. Evo Comet Queens with the 767. Soxwat Swim Bike Run Cake were in 3rd, followed up by Kirchmer B2W Fun to B. Zed Sunflowers, Coalition Equinox, Revo Snickers in 7th. Zed Sun Ilm in for 8th. It's going to be Cryogen Croy Fear in for 9th. 10th place goes to Vegan Fruit Bats and Rave Firestarter. That is your top 11 in the Central Div 1 for the women's Bs. Over to the Cs, Dave.
The Coiffaire, the Iron Cross How bad is that? That just sounds like a good name to me. The Crank Crushers for the AHDRL, that's the Australian Hump Day Ride Ladies Edition. They had an outstanding performance. Nice job. 37-13, the winning time. It was close, though, very close for our top three teams. Oh, less than 10 seconds back were the Vikings, Ildir in second. It's the Friday Criterium, the mighty TFC Storm team in third. Fourth place, WTRL Sia. In fifth, it's Kirkmeyer C2W, the Crazy Bees. Sixth place today for Evo Meteors. It's Revo Galaxies for seventh. Galaxy Supernova Blast in eighth. Giant Camden Luna Chicks in ninth. The E740 Racer D's in 10th. And then Sisu, I Race Like a Girl Morrigan edition, rounding out your top 11 for our women's C's here in the Central.
And last but not least, it's going to be Team NL ladies and the D's here for Central Div 1 with a 41-22. Revo Revels there, 104 back. Real close race there with 3 seconds between them and the Roof Riders there. Wild Ones, AVC Wild Lady in at 121 back. And then in fifth place, Adam Racing Team Zwifterians. That is the situation in the EMEA Central Div 1D category for the women. The men's race, I think some are still finishing up across Div 1 for Africa. I think some of the D category, well, maybe there is no D category there, so we can actually show those results, and then we will jump on over to that women's race that is 13 kilometers in for the Electric Spirit Company. But Cryo RDT, they pulled it off by 10 seconds, Dave. They really showed up today. You know, looking at the men's standings for this EMEA Africa, Fusion ECT have been undefeated, and now Cryo RDT are saying this second half of season might be theirs.
Wow. And again, that time, 29:47. Rough estimate, that is a top 5 ride in yesterday's premiere. So Toyota, you crushed it out there today. Cryo RDT, man, that is your platinum standard in the community. And look at that, Nathan, 5.27 watts per kilo. That's out of this world. Fusion ECT, again, they're right there. What a season they're having, and they're only 10 seconds back. So great job to Fusion for second. It's the Polish team, ZTP LCCE Racing Team, third place today, and certainly that was a shot across the bow, as they are going to be a team to be dealing with now from here on in as a top squad. The Zwift kids really stepped up. Fourth place today, 28 seconds back, but they made a lot of power and turned a lot of heads. Way to go to the Zwift kids. Canyon Esports in fifth, Signature Vega in sixth, Kirkmeyer A1 Dev Team in seventh. It's NetGen X Foudre in eighth, hashtag Love Tiles Azul in ninth, DBR RT 10th, and then Talent Frey A. That's your top 11 teams in our EMEA Africa Division 1A mixed men's.
No, I want to just speak to that 5.27 versus 4.86. 10-second difference, though. I don't think anyone was dropped from either of those teams. So that means Fusion just know how to TTT. Cryo are just crazy strong. Like that's like, and it makes sense too, because I do know that Fusion do have some strong powered sprinters. They're ahead. But I mean, Cryo RDT, I think are like we were saying, they're more of these FTP longer effort riders, and they just had pure power to go up against Fusion ECT, and they win by 10 seconds, but it's only 10 seconds at almost a full watt per kilogram difference across the team.
Classic cycling conundrum. Nathan, is it easier to just learn how to get a little bit smoother or just make a little bit more power? It's sort of like, would you rather lose a little bit weight or get a little bit stronger? Because it's one or the other. It's this balance out there. That's incredibly exciting to see how things are going to play out. Well, we've got some teams well into it. ElectricSpirit.co. This is going to be, well, they're well past that they're coming up on the second check. They're through the middle part of the course. They've got the aqueduct well behind them here as they go by this beautiful pond out here, moving into the final third of this race. We'll see what kind of data we can extract from this field out here on course right now, but they certainly look good. 6 riders together here, Nathan. Moving at a nice clip.
And this is your top team. They went out first, so they have, which with the level that we have out here, I mean, just look at how close this is. But this team is not one that was in the conversation for my expectations to say they will be leading the series. I would say they're on the heels, but with Sox or Watts in here, yeah.
Oh, we're starting. The top teams are going out first.
They are. Yes, they are going out first. That is correct. Yep. A little bit different.
That's probably a better way to do it.
We don't get the catches as easy then. So
sure, it makes more sense to me, actually. The logic between starting the top teams last, it makes more sense in real life because of splits and that kind of thing. But here it's better because, less chance of teams getting caught with the drafting and everything. It turns into a bit of a mess. So, good call.
And
so
highlighting
close.
This team, though, and how far they've come in 2 seasons or so. Electric Spirit.co obviously have put together quite the roster to be leading out a Div 1 in EMEA right now. This is playoff material, and this is done in just about 2 seasons of coming up through the WTRL TTT and showing up in ZRL now. I'm super impressed by Electric Spirit. Watch out for them. Could they be Premier Division, by this next season? They're in the conversation, obviously, if they're up against Sox or Watts with the likes of Leah Thorvaldsen, Dockers, and Tom. I mean, Leah Thorvaldsen, obviously one of the strongest riders that we have in the Zwift Racing League. Sox Watts always in that conversation.
Yeah, I have to say, I don't know of a team that's stepped up any more than electricspirit.co, to tell you the truth. I always knew them as for their men's teams. So this is big. It really is. We're going to Sox for Watts Polka Dot Bomb sitting second here, just 1 point back. So obviously today, whichever of those teams gets the better of the other will move ahead. Roker Corba, the Collective A team. This is the program that the world champion, Ashley Moolman Pasio, has put together. And it's a much larger program than I expected. It's not just a team or two. There's maybe even a dozen teams now. I know they were even looking at expanding into some North American-based riders, and that's one of the great things about racing on Zwift is your riders can be anywhere in the world where they can get an internet connection. And Roker Corba certainly seems to be a team that's growing, and they've got a team that has graduated after being promoted from community. Now they're have a top team in community and up in Premier.
That's a great point, actually. The growth of all of these teams is really awesome to see. As we look at the current standings, it is very close between these 2 teams, Sox Watts Polka Dot Bombs and Electric Spirit.co. Roker Corba on the heels there at that 52 points. As we work our way back here, this is very close. Right now, it's essentially a tied team time trial between Sox Watts and Electric Spirit.co. And this is for the current lead out here, most likely. We'll see if anybody's able to insert themselves between them, perhaps, as we see what the times are when they do come in. Schreier making her way to the front now, 285 watts now, as there's a little bit of a gap opening up now as Electric Spirit.co maybe see that Sox Watts are keeping it within striking distance.
Yeah, I mean, they're right there on the same exact time. Basically, you can see Roker Corba sitting more like 28-ish seconds behind, if I'm interpreting that live data correctly.
Yep.
Right. So it looks, like this is going to be quite a battle here because, Nathan, it's not like they're just getting going here. They're into the last stretch now. It's almost it's virtually flat from this point on in. It's going to come down to execution. You need to be technically perfect here. That steady application of the power without letting it unravel. It's like trying to hold on to a handful of sand out there. It's not easy to do, but obviously Socks for Watts is keeping their act together here.
Nice little question coming on in, and one of the community members who is really puts in a lot of work in the community to help out, and is just a really great part of the racing community.
Yeah.
Carson Ivany here, and he says, "How
Big
much
fan
of
of Carson.
Cyrus's win was power, and how much was experience?" I think at that Premier Division level, it's the perfect mixture of both. Actually, I really think Cyrus. At their level, and we said this. We did that little program talking about looking toward the season and what kind of for Premier Division on World of Zwift, and part of the conversation was what's going to happen up front. And there was a little prediction that next esports we're going to have this like high-powered sprinting. Who's going to be able to handle them when it comes to that? But at the back end of this season, you've got teams like Cyrus. As well as the Kolchinsky types. We've got the climbing types. We've got the more power-based types, as well as the experience of Cyrus Snowpins, I think, really just showed up alongside of their pure power that they can bring into the world of Zwift and speed. So I think it was a really good mixture, 100% of both.
That's really well put. And you know what? That said, add in a little bit of desire, sprinkle that on top like pixie dust. And that's what it was, because they really, really wanted that one too. I think Next showed a lot of class in the way they managed that. I saw a nice exchange between those two teams afterwards as well. And certainly that was a huge moment for the Ceres team. And Next isn't going anywhere. That's for sure.
No, they're definitely not.
They were not
anywhere.
Dismantled. Believe me.
No. They've got plenty to work with still, and there's a reason why there were roster changes, right? In order for the right, horses for courses, and I think you're gonna see, the other side of Next showing up, as well as the other teams that are out there. I mean, Canyon's hungry. I know that Cyrus is hungry, so lots to analyze as Premier Division continues on. Back in with the ladies, though, as we look to Roca and see how they are doing out here. And the Spaniard here, Doc Northup, as well as S-Child, Osterby. These are some familiar names here hanging out in this North Division for EMEA for the Women's Div 1.
Yeah, it's fun. They've added a bunch of new divisions, haven't they, Nathan? It's cool to see that just this growth here. And we still have a lot of racing to look forward to later today with the Americas East. They'll be out on this Deuce France course as well. So kind of wrapping up the European round of racing right now for the ladies.
Yeah, Ina Dak here, Casey Northup. We are seeing Phi Osterby, Jules Haas, all riding for this Roca Corba team. I do believe also it is going to be Elise S-Child and Gabby Steven out here today. They have put out a pretty solid watts per kilogram. Their highest will be Osterby there at 4.3 watts per kilogram so far, in order to chase down and she's on the front again at 6 watts per kilogram, trying to bring back that Sox Watts time.
I'm back in the same boat as the start of the broadcast with my data, Nathan. I apologize, but I'm going to be behind the 8 ball again here, so we'll do what we can with what I've got. Again, peak Zwift, right? Lot
100%.
of folks on Zwift right now. So taking a look at Roca Corba here, it's looking like they've been doing their work. Clearly, the craft of team time trialing. Nathan, you could just look at a team here now and tell immediately whether they've been practicing or not. And obviously, Roca Corba has. Here's some data. It's wonderful to see a 7-second difference between electricspirit.co Chanticleer, as they are right there with the polka dot bombs from Socks for Watts. A few more seconds back to Team Italy. Wow. Roca Corba Collective, who we're with now, is 9 seconds behind the Italians. And then Swedish Zwifters GNA, just 1 second behind Roca Corba.
Yeah, pretty close racing as you can see here for that 4th and 5th place. Looking down here, draft. As we wait, they look to be having a special, really special day, and I'm not surprised because of how old school that team is. Look at the point standings in 6th place at 47, but they were the fastest time through at that 12K mark. As we wait for the day to come
Oh,
through
wow.
here, this is a huge day for draft. I
With
am
Sox for
really,
Watch
really
top,
impressed.
yeah. Let's see what they've got at 18. That is awesome.
And I'm not
Everybody
surprised
else
though with
is
how
so
old school
close,
draft
too.
is. Really, I'm really not that surprised here with this team because they have been around for so long.
And back
Laura
to the days
Massey,
of the Vision team.
Nevin. I mean, this is super. Almost like Ann Nevin's here. Laura Hills, Melinda Lehman is here. Laura Massey, Croswell, really solid team as well as Melina. So
Look at all
really a
the
lot of experience on this team.
Every rider has a Tron. Like, this is as OG as it gets here.
I like how they showed up with style too. Look at the style on this team.
They are looking fantastic. Drafting, I've always thought of as a Canadian team. They certainly have a high percentage of Canadian riders. It's an international squad for sure.
This
But
whole
there seems to
squad
be a
here
Canadian.
is,
There's a
3.
Norwegian.
We got 3 Canadians, Scotland,
A Scot,
Norwegian,
right?
and the UK. It looks like
A Brit, right? For Laura Massey, right? And,
yeah.
Well, they know what they're doing. They're at less than 4K from the finish now for the draft team. Another one of the kits that's been in game since seems like the get-go, Nathan.
Yeah, very, very early. Very early. You know what's kind of
set
cool
a high
about
standard.
Team Draft is Draft Turbo. So you know how a lot of these teams, you have these teams that kind of get springboarded out of them, right? Draft is kind of like this original team that then like Team Turbo came out of, and actually Leah Thorvaldsen was a part of that at one point, and so yeah, like this is one of those OG teams that then spawned a bunch of other teams that kind of came out of their successes actually, and Greg Leal actually one of the talents who used to be a part of this. We called him the professor because he literally is a professor of game theory. That was on the program a lot, was a major part of Team Draft early on. I believe Zimmerman was even in and a part of Team Draft at one point, and really a lot of history actually around this team. Huge amounts of Zwift history around this team.
Well, they are putting on a clinic on how to run a team time trial out here today. Let's see, though. So 17-16 was their, I think they'll be the next team that we see updating from that. We'll see another data push come through here. No reason to think they're not going to hold on here. They're continuing to ride like a well-oiled machine. This is going to be the Italy Wow team and Mazzetto that we're in with the Squadra Azul.
They're not far off
No.
top time. I mean, this is solid. They could podium still, but they're gonna have to hold off draft. That's for sure.
They're right in a sandwich.
Possible.
They got Sox for Watch to chase down, but they got Roca Corbo right behind them too. So it's going to be an interesting run into the finish. They're less than 1K to go for the Italians now. Forza with force.
Has this actually got this right? Interesting. Beatrice Bartolini's on here. Longtime viewer. Chiara Dani. Chiara Mazzito. It's going to be Elizabeth Rico. Fabia Naramati. And Vale Boss. All for this team Italy. Wow. A little bit of a power up there coming from Dani as she makes her way to the line.
Well, this is the final push here. Every second matters. Now, again, we'll translate this finishing position into the table and look at the points. 20 points awarded to the top team. This is a very competitive season that we're right in the middle of now, the fourth of 8 races leading into the playoffs here. Some of these teams have ambitions to end up in the Premier League, and you've got to put together a good result here today. Sweep around this right-hand turn. You'll see the finish arch, and there it is. This one is now done. Finito. Nice job to the Italians. And with the Swedes now, we'll pick them up inside of 1K to the finish here.
Yeah, this is a really great ride. Also with from SZ GNA 2605, last checkpoint for that 5th. I'm not sure they're gonna be able to hold on. This is really close actually across the board. Everybody within that 17-minute marker at 12K. So nothing said and done at all at the halfway point. Draft, though, have closed down a huge amount of time. Are they in it still for the win is going to be the question as we look for results shortly here. Nevin now leading things out. Draft power up being used there by Sue.
Whole
Massey
team
coming
together
on through. This is solid riding.
Yeah, you're not going to see too many teams put together a ride like this out here today using the final power-ups. We talked about a unique opportunity to have the power-ups in a team time trial. First time I've ever seen it done. I wouldn't be surprised if the WTRL's done some tests with this, but seems like it's been pretty popular with our riders, and using them perfectly here, maybe getting another half second, remembering the 4th rider is where your time is taken from. So there's a little split, not to their advantage right now, but that's okay. It'll all come out in the wash as we are just about there. Done and dusted on Deuce France. You can see there's our 4th wheel.
They might have done it. This is really, really solid time coming on through here. Really great job by Draft. Wahoo Lacole, one of their community teams. Johnston Rodriguez is here. Hagman. It's going to be Paris as well. And Rick Strova. It's a familiar name, actually.
Couple seconds difference here. Couple seconds can get or lose you a point, Nathan. This is the razor's edge that Socks for Watts. This is the polka dot bombs. They lit the fuse. Let's see if they can be the actual bomb here. Rick Strova driving that nail home. We're going to go pick up the Revo team here now as it really starts to elevate at the finish. Great jersey for Revo.
Yeah, looking sharp. A lot of really, really familiar names here as well. Ones that we've seen across the Revo team
Barbara
for a
Fazoli.
long time. Fazoli is in here.
Jessica McWirt.
Yep, McWirt is hanging out. I mean, this is solid representation. Sharon Stiles, Kessenheimer, Ayala. Always great to see Revo, and one of the great community organizers amongst the women. One of the forces for women's racing, actually, in the Zwift community, and they're representing well right now.
Jessica McWirt is a very talented writer, a really interesting, cool human being that puts a lot of things in perspective, especially over the last couple of years. I've become a big fan of her work, so it's nice to see her out here having a great ride today. I know this will mean a lot to her because this is not easy, and if you're doing this, you definitely are finding some good fitness, so nice job, ladies. Revo team going to bring this one on home now.
WTRL's also out here with Firestorm. They're 128 back. They've lost 30 seconds or so, but Ferris here, Burble, Shamber, Murphy. This is a team we see often, actually, in the TTT. And great to see Firestorm hammering away. Total rock stars.
Yeah, there's a lot of great people in the Zwift community, and it seems like there's a high concentration of them in this group. So close here, Nathan, between electricspirit.co and Socks for Watts. It'll be interesting to see, and you can always go, if we don't have a chance to get everything for you or you're not exactly sure what you've seen, WTRL.racing is a real resource for following along through all of our seasons of racing or getting involved yourself. Are you racing tonight? Or no, it's not Thursday.
Morning.
I'm sorry.
I raced this morning, actually. Like before APAC,
Boom.
I found out I needed to commentate and produce. So I was like, well, I need to be up, drink some coffee, and do a KISS race. So I did that as well as some sticky watt testing because there was a little bit of a post over on Zwift Insider and doing some testing to see some stuff. It looks like we may have I don't know. We may have a new article coming out, or at least some sort of conversation about the discussion of what is going on with Sticky Watts, actually, and
Look
the
forward to it.
opinions of what may be right and wrong, and what might be more gray than a lot of people are picking up on. So, had a conversation with Eric Schlange this morning from Drift Insider over video that we had a nice little discussion about it. It was very, very interesting testing going on this morning. We'll continue to do that across all the devices, and at least on my side of things, to see what is and what is not. Because from my testing, the opinions may change. So, anyways,
shades of gray. Who would have thought? Insight.
Not in any kind of way of like even changing what things actually are, but like what is happening actually with it all. That's all. Just what is actually happening there. So jumping in here, this is going to be the North for EMEA men's mixed as well. Now, you will see 40 points because this was one of the ones affected by that first race that was taken off, but it's going to be Liam Bard off the front, Loudon, etc. These are the top men from R3R, no pins in the community side of things.
All right. You can see they're well into it. As this is a really nice sector here as well. Is a full team still together for no pins R3R.
Yeah,
are we going to move into
super solid?
Yeah, so thanks for noting that, Nathan. These scores are correct. There's just one race was not included because there was a glitch with some of the riders getting into the event, to make a long story short for you there. So this is a different electricspirit.co. There's the men's edition, the Sling, that are sitting right now in second place. Swedish Swifters, the Balders, 1 point behind them. Tied at 33 points right now is Wahoo Lacole, the team that we're Wahoo Lacole and Jet Racing Team 2. We've got Skylab, WTRL Skyweb, 31 points, 27 for Scanalatori Seriali Magnetic Days Elite. And rolls right off your tongue, doesn't it? No pins R3R, B men in 8th. There's another no pins team, the Motip RTs in 9th, but it's all tied at 23 points there, with Jet Racing even on 23 with both the no pin squads. So that's where we stand, Nathan, as we come into the 4th race, 3rd on the books here for the North Division. New division.
Electric Spirit. I mean, they just keep showing up at this top level, though. And I'm really enjoying seeing the development of this team on both the men's and the ladies' side. And they're not out of it. 12 seconds. They'd have to have a pretty amazing second half of the race, but if they get a good negative split, they're in the conversation still.
Certainly not impossible. It really isn't. Again, this is a pure TTT course. There's no crazy features. There's no severe climbs. So bringing back 12 seconds, not easy to do. That's for sure. But it's within the realm of possible. You don't have to be completely out of your mind. It would depend on how much they've saved, what's left in the tank.
And as they roll through, we are seeing 8 watts per kilogram pushing on through here from Kreber, as he looks to take over at the front, perhaps. A little bit of a drafting power-up. Maybe a little disorganization about who's who here at this point, but now it is going to be Bailey taking over at the front. The Scottish rider. There's some infighting right now for whose wheel is whose. Did you see that for a moment there?
Yeah.
And now they've kind of figured it out, and it looks like no more orange numbers to get past each other. That's one of the things that in a TTT, look at these 4 riders all side by side. They're kind of trying to figure out who's who here. And
it's tough. This is really a challenge, isn't it? That it's so subtle. The difference is there. We talk about the interaction between the avatars, and it's constant adjustment out here. Not bad. Not perfect, but not bad here. Certainly you look at the speed, Nathan, and they're moving, getting close, touching on 50K per hour here.
Yeah, very solid at the 47, 46. Similar to what we see
How
in
about
three of
no
the other
pins?
zones.
How about no pins so far? So they have 2 teams in this event. So one is right now perfect so far with 40 points.
Yeah, not surprising. As we saw we've seen the riders here, on this team. Scott Gleason, one of the strong. Actually, so when I line up for a
There's a
sprint
name.
with Gleason, I always say he's the first one to follow. Either I'm following him or I jump before. Like, this is the guy I'm trying to beat in a sprint a lot.
He's a
A few months
linchpin.
ago,
Yeah.
though, I did that, and he was on an easy day, and I didn't know it. And we went to the line, and I waited and waited, and Gleason never jumped, and we both lost the race. It was one of those situations where I was like,
You hitched
Scott,
onto
what
the wrong
happened?
right. You hitched your wagon on the wrong locomotive that day, I guess.
Yeah, we both kind of
It's
looked
gonna
at each
happen,
other, I
right?
think, a little bit. It was interesting, that's for sure. Loudon now to the front with a solid
I
second.
love
now.
bike racing for those moments, right? You never know exactly what's going on. That's for sure.
You got to change your plan if it's not going to plan. And I just stuck to the plan for a little bit too long, is what it seemed. That's for sure. As
Sad Kennedy, the
yeah,
rider that
another
we're with. This
familiar
is
name.
this is the monster R3R no pins team, the top team in the league right now, and you can see that they are crushing it out here today, Nathan.
Class
29:20. To think about how fast that is, that 29:20 coming out of yesterday's premiere, but we've seen a few community teams cracking the 30-minute barrier. As a matter of fact, in the race that we just watched, I think we saw 4 teams do it there. Not a bad job at all by our community racers today.
Yeah, Saad here, 374 races, currently ranks 464th in the world on Zwift rankings with a race ranking.
Man, that's a lot of racing.
Yeah, solid rider. As he is coming out of Morocco. That's the Moroccan flag, if you were wondering. And doing a lot of racing recently. A+ rider over on Zwift Power. Took 3rd place, actually, in the last Zwift Racing League race for the North Division. Back on the park perimeter. Had a solid sprint uphill, obviously.
I don't know that I was familiar with the Moroccan flag. I'm trying to get a better look at it here.
Yeah, it's like that.
What is the feature there? Obviously, it's the red flag. I can't quite see the detail enough to give it its true appreciation.
Yeah, I'm going to actually...
We'll look into it.
It's a 5-point green star.
So that's one of the things that I love, and we're starting to see it. I've seen more chatter around it, is the African continent being represented in Zwift.
Yeah, absolutely awesome. The opportunity that this virtual platform provides across the world, for sure. Close race here between SZ and Electric CO. Very close race, actually.
And they're sitting at about 24K of racing, so they're definitely into the back third of this one. Been amazed at the data we have been able to get today. It's been wonderful seeing all of the splits here.
Balder, one of the riders coming in. This is going to be SC
This
Balder.
is actually right here at 18K is the final split, so we'll remember looked like there was a nice little picnic going on there. Some of the spectators. Some brie and bread, right? Cheese and bread and wine, vino. I'm sure it's a nice day to watch the racing in France.
I like it. We can give personality to the spectators out on course.
Yeah.
Here.
What they're eating, right? Yeah. Maybe some salami or something. Obviously, it's lunchtime. Here. We've been on air for 3 hours now, I think. So moving into lunch mode. This is going to be Jet that we're looking at now. They've got all 6 together here, Nate, as they go by the picnic area at 18K. And Amine. Checking what time it is in Tokyo right now. I have a feeling it's
That's a good question, actually.
pretty early
What
in the
time is
morning.
it in Tokyo? I'm gonna find that out. Currently, it's 5:13
5
a.m.
in the morning.
Yeah,
Yeah.
5 a.m. in Tokyo. Early
It's what time
racing
I
for
woke
these
up
boys.
today for a Zoom meeting. So
Oh my goodness! With Australia, who are you talking to? Kojima
our
here now.
European colleagues.
Nice.
Well, right,
Kojima
5 a.m. here
Uyama
is noon. Right.
Murakami
Well, they are rolling
Noguchi.
here.
Yeah, they're doing an amazing job. And Jet might take the win today. I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. But they are only sitting in fourth place, 33 points. They're tied currently with the Wahoo Coal team that are chasing them down. Actually, Hughes and the rest, they're chasing them down. They've closed down over 30 seconds at this point, actually. So I don't think Jet Racing Team are part of that conversation necessarily. But Wahoo Coal might be with Hughes on the front, hammering 49 kilometers per hour right now.
And stall the beans a little bit here. Get these guys back up into your slipstream. Hughes is 2. There we go. Weld it back together here as the guy's down to 5K to go. The Welsh Dragon. So we haven't covered this division before. This is the North with the Europe, Middle East, and Africa added here for this season due to popular demand. Looks like a catch or pass just being made.
Oh, good call there, Dave. Yeah, Skyweb, I think, were either caught or the other way around. Double check here. Skyweb started ahead of this Scalatori Serielli Magneti Days Elite.
So I was reading in the rule book now for Premier that because of it gets very complicated when teams make a catch in the pass and the back and the forth, that in Premier, not maybe Community, but I did not see that rule for Community. I don't think it applies. Once a team is caught, they no longer can repass. They have to ride behind the team that caught them. Yeah. Yep. I thought that was an interesting rule, but it certainly defines a moment too. So obviously you cannot get caught out there, or all of a sudden your race is taken out of your hands. The best you can do is following the team that caught you. Interesting rule, isn't it?
It is.
So again, that's not Community. What I'm speaking of is a Premier rule.
Yeah, I think. What's going on here? Oh, well.
There's a mix. They have one rider from another team. Is that the
Serielli? Yeah. As a little bit of disruption. You do not want to disrupt the team. That's for sure. You need to get out of the way of that team.
So this is definitely a faux pas.
Because Mannertz here is trying to get by him and cannot.
So if we're sure that that's not a team member here, definitely they're right.
It is not.
Yeah,
it is not.
So
for sure.
This is a confused racer, is my belief then, because there's no way you'd intentionally be doing this. Well,
maybe a misunderstanding of Pack Dynamics 3 too, because Pack Dynamics 3, I'm not sure a lot of people know what goes on with PD3 and how much
I have a feeling
you push riders off of other people's wheels as well.
Well, just fundamentally, you can't ride with another team. And this is very frustrating. Good
amount of disruption happening here. He's actually going to end
up
on the front,
this is okay.
And this is actually going to slow them down.
I feel bad for these guys right now. This is someone who, is he trying to use them to get back up onto his team? Is that what
perhaps?
Is his team right in front of us?
Mm-hmm.
If that's the case, it's just not how you get to do it, unfortunately.
Yeah, not a good look at the moment here. Breely here. Snickers. Good to see Snickers hanging out. Swats is here as well.
Did you say Snickers?
Oh yeah, Snickers is hanging out.
What?
I'm Snickers.
Yes, please. I'll take one. That's the Isle of Man flag that we're looking at there.
It's going to be Mark Swatton is out here as well. One of the men who's actually a part of our discussion. Good to see him hanging out and currently hammering away in let's see, how are these guys doing when it comes to the current results right now? No Pens R3RB men, they are currently sitting in that 8th place with 23 points. Side ride here coming from Mark Swatton and the rest of this crew. Snickers.
All right, down to about 4.5K to go for the No Pins R3R team. Now, this is the second No Pins team that we have out here.
I want to know who named themselves Snickers. That's what I'm trying to figure out here right now. Terry Wilkinson?
It's easy to see how that would happen. It's got to be one of the more popular candy bars amongst cyclists. I'm a fan. That's for sure.
Zavaris is saying there's probably a lot of private messages going on.
I remember
now.
at one point
probably. I wonder if his English is doing well or not, but we'll see. We'll see how that ended up playing out. Go ahead, Dave.
Oh, I was going to say Snickers at one point, it's got to be more than 10 years ago, came up with an energy bar Snickers. And it turned out it sort of solved an unneeded problem because the Snickers bar was already an energy bar, in my opinion. The product did not make it in distribution for more than 6 months or so. So looks like I was right.
No Pins R3R men came through with a 30-25 so far. We're still waiting for some of the results to populate. A little bit of apologies on some of the data. It looks like there's a lot coming on through with this peak Zwift time at the point. But we will continue to press on as Matt Looker makes his way to the front. Another community member who's very, very involved and has been a part of a lot of the organization across R3R as well as the esports community. Hagen, Snickers, Mark Swat, and it's going to be Breeley there toward the back. Then WP3 with Dirt. Also out here hammering away with 5 riders left. This is going to be Matt, Luke, Andy, Toby, Martin for that Dirt team. There is a Jet 3 team chasing them down, and they're making their way through their 19-kilometer mark.
All right. So we're seeing a remarkable number of teams keeping the entire squad together out here. You only need 4, but actually it's really encouraging to see that these teams have the depth, Nathan, to hold on to 6 riders all the way through this point.
I'd have to
if you made it this far.
Dunk McCree. At this point, we need a few more snacks, Dave. Dave, did you bring the snacks? No.
Yes.
Swedish snacks.
So it's yes, Dunk. Completely agree. Tutti Fruttis for me. Tutti Frutti was by far the perfect
that was
Zwift
your favorite.
food.
That was pretty dang good. That was one of the.
They melted in your mouth.
Ones. They really did. They really did.
I think it's the higher quality Swedish sugar.
You know, they were probably better than any of those gummy type candies I've ever had. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Like way better than any gummy candy I've ever had, I think.
And they were vegan. Right, so they didn't have anything weird in them, which is. But I agree that
the assumption behind that comment right there was so good. If it's not vegan, it's weird. Just so you guys know.
If it's not vegan,
how
you
did
don't
we
know.
get there? How did we get there? Is what I'm wondering.
Anton, to answer this one, I would say sugar and peanuts. But I think sugar is, at the end of the day, what makes it popular with cyclists.
Well, Anton answered that right next to you there. That's what.
Yeah.
Thank you, Anton. I appreciate everybody jumping on in. We've got comments coming through. There's our
comments galore.
Yeah.
I don't know that we still have Mars bars in the United States. That might be more. I bet you Anton is from the UK.
I don't know if we do. I don't think so.
They were a thing. we have Milky Way bars that maybe they don't have in the
There's
UK.
a lot of dirt teams going on out here
And-
today. Look at this. As they make their way around. It's going to be Dirt WP4 with Sean Thomas, Sam,
There you go.
Doug, and Flo.
I said Milky Way, and then Martin chimed in on Discord that Milky Way in the UK. We call them the Mars Milky Way thing was correct.
Okay,
so
do
thank
you know
you,
what
Martin.
these are? Do you know what these are? I got a lesson this morning.
Well, there's a team named this from New
Yes.
Zealand,
Yes.
and
Yeah.
they're little cakes, aren't they?
They're lollipops.
Oh, that was
But-
my guess earlier.
Yeah,
I thought I was shut
lollipops,
down.
but they're
on
like
that.
a sugar lollipop, like a big sugar lollipop, essentially, like a ball of sugar. That's what I was taught
Okay.
this morning. Yeah,
I
Kate
am
was all
familiar.
over that. Kate was.
I approve.
She
yep.
said that the lemon ones are the best, and she'll fight you for that. Just so everybody
Would
knows.
you fight Kate? I won't. By
Not
far.
In a sprint. Not in a sprint. not
What
in
a
a sprint
legend.
for chups. Not in the sprint for chups.
I hope that we see Kate in tonight's broadcast. Tonight, American time, I should say. It's already going to be tomorrow for Kate and Anna over there down under. Down there, I should say, not over there. Well, they're over and down, I guess.
Late to the video, our power-ups activated. They are on. We have the arrow, draft, and feather. Just so you know. So that is what's happening with the power-ups. Wow, we're getting a lot. So if we start talking about food, it just, like,
That's,
it
It triggers
the comments
people.
just start
Yeah.
going off. Like, I mean, this is, Milky Way.
Including
That's what I
Art.
thought. I was wondering about that. Milky Way is the Mars bar. Yeah, so you got the nougat in there. That's it, instead of the peanuts, and I'm cool with that because you don't want to kill Nathan. Well, I won't die. I just get
This conversation gets more reaction from the general public than the Adidas.
Yeah, I mean, who cares about the race? I mean, the food is what people are all about. It seems like here, biscuit, boast, best bar. Do you know what this is? I don't even know what this is.
Biscuit Boast best bar ever. So I've never had a Biscuit Boast, nor have I heard of it. But I don't
They better
doubt
start
you.
sending them. Better start sending them.
Let's get our address out there to you.
Yeah, no, don't give them my.
We need a, so Stroop waffles. I'm Stroop waffled out, to be honest. They sell them at Trader Joe's here, and I've eaten enough Stroop waffles for the next little while. But I do understand, Victor, where you're coming from. A Harry Potter reference here. I think the Jelly Belly company was making those over here in the States, where you can get the bad flavors too. If you know what I'm talking about. I don't want to gross anyone out.
Ran over K-tape on a Iron Man locked my front brakes would be a great power up. Huh. It's like a power down, I think.
That's exactly the other.
That's like road
direction.
rash. That's like
Yeah,
we do
like-
road rash. You got to throw a stick into the. That could be a power down. That's like a negative. That's like a offensive.
Like sliding out your
It's
wheels in a
offensive.
corner.
It's just
Yeah.
offensive. Just
So is there a marathon bar as well? I'm going to guess there is. Thank you, Chris. I think that somehow this rings a bell, Nathan, as being true for me. That Snickers was a competitive Olympian in the Sydney Games in 2000.
Huh.
Great, but running for the Great Britain.
Like this is actually the Snickers who did
I have
that?
a feeling this is true. Yeah, we'll do a little more. We'll get our research team.
I think
on
that
this,
is
our
actually
crack
true. I think I've heard that before.
Yeah, we've heard this before. Some form of this.
Don't tell us.
Yeah.
As we're waiting for results here, I'm loving all the comments coming on through, and we finish up with a lot of these teams. We should jump in with the
that was
antibodies.
Leah Thorvaldsen was all about hobnobs for a while there. Remember that?
Oh yeah, that was the thing. She
That was
started
there was
the
a
taste
team
testing.
called the Hobnobs even. So
Liam's in here waiting for his results, and he says that it's going to be the Milka. So I'm kind of with him on that one as well.
pretty good. Pretty solid choice right there, like the
I
Cadbury.
thought Marathon was a Snickers. Wait, what? Hello from Colombia. Good to see you, Santiago. Thanks a lot for hanging out.
Santiago
Marathon
Henao
is the
Hernandez.
old UK name for Snickers.
Oh,
Yes, I remember this actually. Okay. See, we were so far off. We had no idea what we were talking about.
or were we?
Or
were we?
Oh,
Right.
were we?
2K to go for Team Big Ring 56 T.
Who's winning? We're still waiting. Apologies on some of the. There's a lot going on in the background here today. This may be the
WTRL
first
dot-
time where we can call not a. We're not being DDoS, but in a similar maybe type situation. Interesting enough. So, not losing the broadcast.
We have more racing to look forward to later today.
Do you know
We'll
what
be back.
DDoSing is? Do you know what DDoSing is?
No, I don't.
So people will attack. Our servers are not being attacked. No one's servers are being attacked. But it's when there's hackers out there that go and they overload somebody's servers on purpose to take down their company's internet ability and usage. It's a DDoS attack.
Yikes.
Yeah, it can
hope,
really be a thing. But
you'd hope that they would have bigger fish to fry than our good friends on Zwift who are just here to have some fun and ride our bikes and not hurt anybody. There's got to be better use of your time.
So Marathon
Been
was
bothering
UK
little old
name for
us.
what you all know as Snickers.
Totally got that. I will not go looking for a marathon when I'm in the UK. I'll just ask for a Snickers and I'll be fine.
Talking about food is equal to a DDoS attack, is what we're being told here. DDoS isn't a snack. Keep it on topic. Hey, sorry, apologies.
At least these guys are smart enough to know.
56T. Oh, that's a huge chain ring. Holy cow.
It's kind of chain ring 56 that you would see on the specialist bikes at Tour of the Gila. There's a crazy fast downhill, a couple of them actually. And 56 would be just, if you were Ashton Lambie, you'd be looking for a 56, believe it or not. I'm good with the 52.
Yeah, same. 56 is a little bit too much to pull over for me here as Shackcloth, Paxton, Barker, and Mr. Pink is out there. Good to see Pink, Mr. Pink. Hammer away on his Pink Tron bike. This is going to be the final team to come across the line with a solid 33-ish minutes, most likely.
You ever see the movie Reservoir Dogs? I don't know if you have, but there's a funny Mr. Pink line in there. He wants to be Mr. Black. Doesn't want to be Mr. Pink. He wants to be Mr. Black. And they said, we already gave Mr. Black to someone else. You're Mr. Pink. Deal with it.
And we will most likely have to push you over to WTRL.racing.
Yeah, you can see why we want data, right?
Apologies, everybody. Well, I mean, we're having fun with it. Everybody's having
we had fun
along with us. Yeah, and chat's having fun. And the hardcore viewers who like to hang out with us for the chat is ones that are sticking around. We appreciate you. If you enjoy the conversation as well as the coverage, make sure to hit those follow buttons. Dave, we are going to be back in a few hours with America's East. And just going to double check here really quickly. It'll be a few minutes yet. It's 2:32 over 2.5 hours of broadcast at this point. We're going to push you on over to WTRL.racing for results. We appreciate everybody hanging out for the coverage, though, here. America's East and West will be later tonight. Make sure to hit those follow buttons, like, comment. Let us know what your favorite snacks are for pre-race, during race, after race. So far, the Tutti Fruttis out of Sweden have taken the, wouldn't be cake.
The top step of the podium, I
Top
think.
step of the
right now,
podium
but-
at this point. If you think there's better, you let us know in the comments, and maybe we'll respond. Actually, tag us over on Instagram in your stories or in your posts, and we'll respond over there as well to let us know, whether or not we approve, because that really matters when it comes to all the snacks out there.
I'd like to have the final
arbiters
say
of
on
snacks.
snacks.
All right. Dave gets the arbiter of snacks here.
Right. I see Kate Bates has just chimed in on our Discord as well. So we're certainly sparking a chord.
Here. What's happening here?
Kate was saying Australia.
Oh, go ahead.
Oh, no, you got it. And there's a Mars bar and a Milky Way bar. So obviously it's great that we've got associates all over the globe to keep track of all of this for us. So, Nathan, it's always fun. It really is hanging out with you.
Distinctly different? How? What?
That's what she says.
Yeah, I mean.
Why would Kate lie? Why would she lie?
Are there international?
We'll find out more. Join us tonight.
She'll tell us tonight on West.
This is our keys.
There you go.
This is
you
our
want to know more
keys.
about the Mars and the Milky Way in Australia? What's the difference? You got to tune into the America's
Join Dave
West.
Towle and Kate Bates for live coverage of racing tonight, the America's West Division. That'll be coming up at 7:30 Mountain Time. That's the first time that I get to use Mountain Time as the definitive time that we're using. I don't know what Kate. Yep, Kate is very active along with Martin. Want to thank Martin as well. Martin Carew does a tremendous job at WTRL. It's been a lot of fun today, Nathan. Always is with you, my friend.
It's been great. Thanks everybody for tuning in. WTRL.racing for all the info and data you're looking for right now, and we will see you in a few hours. America's East, America's West. As always, everybody, ride on.
Let them see your perfect imperfections. Don't hide from bad feeling, 'cause they just want your words. I won't let them take me. No, I won't let them break me. No one on this earth can bring me down. Now I'm standing tall. I won't ever fall. Concentrate on the tightrope. The hope that you make it through to the other side. Be who you want to be. Who do you want to be? Oh, 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 oh. Be who you want to be. Who do you want to be? Oh, 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 oh. Be who you want to be. Who do you want to be? Oh, 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 oh. Be who you want to be. Who do you want to be? Oh, 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 oh. Let them see your perfect imperfections. Don't hide from bad feeling, 'cause they just want your words, 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 words. Be who you want to be. Who do you want to be? Oh, 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 oh. Be who you want to be. Who do you want to be? Oh, 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 oh. Be who you want to be. Who do you want to be? Oh, 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 oh. Be who you want to be. Who do you want to be? Oh, 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 oh. Now I'm standing tall. I won't ever fall. Concentrate on the tightrope. The hope that you'll make it through to the other side.